The drive to the old family farm was a journey filled with apprehension and a deep, unyielding sense of dread. Each mile closer to the destination, my mind reeled with the memories of a childhood shrouded in shadows and whispers. The decision to confront my past was not made lightly. It was the culmination of years of therapy, nightmares, and the relentless pursuit of truth buried deep within the recesses of my troubled mind. The landscape gradually transformed as I neared the farm, from bustling city streets to the sprawling openness of rural land, where fields stretched out like a patchwork quilt made of earth and greenery. Yet, as familiar as this scenery was, it felt alien, as if I were stepping into a world that time had forgotten, a place that had remained untouched except in the darkest corners of my dreams. Turning onto the gravel path that led to the farm, a shiver ran down my spine. The overgrown path, choked with weeds and neglect, seemed to resist my intrusion, as if the land itself wished to keep its secrets buried. The tires of my car crunched against the gravel, a stark reminder of the reality of my return. There was no turning back now. The path forward was a bridge to the past, a journey to confront the ghosts that had haunted me for so long. As the dilapidated farmhouse came into view, a wave of emotions overwhelmed me. It stood there, a monument to despair, its once vibrant exterior now a shell of its former self. The windows, hollow and lifeless, offered no welcome, only serving as a stark reminder of the emptiness within. The paint, peeled and faded, mirrored the decay of my own memories, fragmented and worn by the passage of time. Stepping out of the car, the air hit me with an unexpected chill, despite the mild weather. It was as if the very atmosphere around the farm was charged with a silent warning, a whisper from the past urging me to tread lightly on this ground so saturated with unspoken history. The silence of the countryside, usually comforting, felt oppressive here, heavy with the weight of untold stories and concealed truths. I took a deep breath, steeling myself against the onslaught of emotions that threatened to overwhelm me. With each step towards the house, the fragments of my childhood played out like a disjointed film in my mind. Laughter that turned into cries, light that faded into darkness, love that twisted into fear. The farm was more than just a place. It was a repository of my deepest fears and unanswered questions. As I approached the front door, its warped wood and rusted hinges a testament to years of neglect, I couldn't help but feel as if I were crossing a threshold into another world. A world where the line between reality and nightmare blurred, where the echoes of the past were all too eager to reveal their long-guarded secrets. The journey back to the old family farm was not just a physical return, but an odyssey into the heart of my own darkness, a pilgrimage to confront the shadows that had lingered in the corners of my existence, silently shaping the person I had become. Stepping inside the threshold of the old farmhouse was like walking into a physical manifestation of my past. The air was thick with dust and decay, each particle a silent witness to the years gone by. The once familiar hallways now whispered with the echoes of a life that seemed both foreign and intimately mine. The wallpaper, peeling and discolored, hung limply from the walls, revealing the bare bones of a home that had once been filled with laughter and warmth. I moved through the house with a sense of reverence and trepidation, as if by merely being there, I was disturbing the spirits of my foregone life. The living room, the heart of the home, was a mausoleum of memories. The furniture, draped in sheets, stood like ghosts of their former selves. Family portraits, their edges curled and colors faded, gazed out from the walls, their smiles a stark contrast to the somber mood that now permeated the room. As I ascended the creaky stairs to the bedrooms, the intensity of my childhood emotions surged. Each step was a journey further into the depths of my memories, each creak a reminder of the countless nights spent listening to the unsettling sounds of the farm. The bedrooms, once sanctuaries of dreams and play, now felt like chambers of secrets and sorrow. My old room, in particular, held a palpable sense of sadness, the remnants of my childhood scattered and forgotten, old toys, books, and drawings that once held meaning, now relics of a time lost to the shadows. The night brought its own set of challenges. The farmhouse, devoid of the distractions of daylight, seemed to close in on me, each shadow a specter from the past, each noise a whisper of hidden truths. I lay in my old bed, the mattress musty and springs groaning under my weight, staring at the ceiling as the familiar dread crept in. The darkness of the countryside enveloped the house, a cloak of silence that was anything but peaceful. It was in these quiet hours that the farm revealed its true nature, a place not of tranquility, but of unresolved mysteries and silent screams. As the moon cast its pale light through the broken windows, casting eerie shadows across the room, the thin veil between past and present seemed to dissolve. The memories became more vivid, more insistent, as if demanding to be acknowledged and understood. I remembered the laughter that turned to arguments, the joy that morphed into fear, the love that faded into suspicion. The house, with its creaks and sighs, seemed to be speaking directly to me, urging me to uncover the truths that had been buried along with my childhood innocence. But it was outside, in the oppressive darkness of the night, where the true heart of the farm lay exposed. The fields, vast and seemingly endless, hid secrets beneath their fallow surfaces. The scarecrows, those silent guardians of the past, stood watch over something far more sinister than mere crops. The realization that the land itself might hold the key to my tormented past was a thought that filled me with both fear and an inexorable pull towards the truth. Thus, as the first light of dawn began to creep over the horizon, dispelling the shadows of the night, I knew that my journey was only just beginning. The farmhouse, with its decaying walls and whispered secrets, was merely the prologue to a story that was woven deep into the fabric of the land itself. With a resolve forged from years of haunted dreams and unanswered questions, I set out to uncover the buried truths of my childhood home, each step taking me closer to the dark heart of the farm. As the dawn broke, casting a soft, golden light over the farm, the world seemed to awaken with a hesitance, as if the very land itself was wary of what the day would bring. I left the confines of the farmhouse, the weight of my unresolved past heavy on my shoulders, and ventured out into the fields that were once my playground, now a desolate expanse that mirrored my internal desolation. The scarecrows, the silent sentinels of the farm, caught the first rays of the sun, their shadows long and distorted on the cracked earth. There was something undeniably eerie about their presence, more than mere figures of straw and old clothes. They were a part of my nightmares, their stitched faces and lifeless forms etched into my memories as symbols of fear and guardians of darker secrets. I approached them with a mixture of trepidation and curiosity. As a child, I had avoided these figures, instilled with an inexplicable fear by my father's stern warnings to keep away. Now, as an adult, I saw them for what they truly were, not protectors of the crops from crows, but rather protectors of the farm's grim legacy. Their placement throughout the field seemed random, yet I sensed a pattern, a deliberate positioning that hinted at a purpose beyond my understanding. The first scarecrow I examined closely was the one I remembered most vividly, a grotesque figure with a burlap sack for a head and mismatched button eyes that seemed to follow me. Its arms, extended as if to ward off intruders, ended in tattered gloves, and its torso was dressed in my father's old farming jacket, faded and stained. As I looked at it, memories flooded back, whispers of nighttime activities, the glow of torches in the dark, and the solemn faces of my parents as they returned to the house in the early hours before dawn. The field itself began to reveal its secrets as I walked among the scarecrows. The soil, though barren, felt compacted in certain areas, as if it had been disturbed and then meticulously covered up again. My mind raced with the possibilities of what lay beneath the surface, the pieces of the puzzle slowly fitting together with each step I took. It was then that I stumbled upon the old shed, its existence almost completely obliterated from my memory. Hidden at the edge of the field, overgrown with vines and weeds, it stood as a testament to neglect. The door, slightly ajar, creaked ominously as I pushed it open, revealing a dimly lit interior that smelled of mildew and decay. Inside, the shed was a time capsule of a bygone era, filled with rusting tools and remnants of a life once lived. But it was the walls that caught my attention, adorned with symbols and markings that were unmistakably ritualistic, their meanings obscure, yet undeniably ominous. It became clear that this shed was not just a storage for farming equipment, but a place of significance, a site of rituals that were perhaps tied to the very essence of the farm's dark history. The realization that these scarecrows were not mere agricultural tools, but markers of something much more sinister was a chilling revelation. They were not just figures to scare away birds. They were totems, each one guarding a secret, each one a piece of the farm's hidden narrative. The connection between the rituals, the scarecrows, and the disturbed earth became increasingly apparent, leading me to the inescapable conclusion that the farm was not just a place of agricultural toil, but a land steeped in dark practices and unspeakable acts. As I left the shed, the pieces of my childhood mosaic began to align with terrifying clarity. The farm, with its eerie scarecrows and hidden rituals, held the keys to understanding the nightmares that had plagued me. The land was not just a witness to these acts, it was a participant, holding the secrets of the past within its soil. The realization set me on a path of discovery, each step driven by the need to uncover the truth, no matter how dark or unsettling it might be. The scarecrows, once symbols of my childhood fears, now stood as beacons, guiding me deeper into the heart of the farm's forgotten horrors. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting the farm into a symphony of shadows and twilight hues. As the familiar blanket of night enveloped the landscape, a sense of foreboding took hold, a prelude to the revelations that awaited. The day's discoveries, from the eerie scarecrows to the ritualistic shed, had left a residue of dread that clung to me like a second skin. Yet, there was a pull, an inexorable draw, towards the dark secrets that the night promised to unveil. I prepared myself for the evening not with the intent of a peaceful night's sleep, but as one gearing up for battle. The farmhouse, with its creaking bones and whispering winds, became the staging ground for my nocturnal investigation. Armed with a flashlight and a steely resolve, I ventured out into the enveloping darkness, the silence of the countryside punctuated only by the crunch of my footsteps and the distant, mournful howl of a lone animal. The fields lay before me, a vast expanse of darkness, the scarecrows now barely discernible silhouettes against the faint starlight. My heart pounded with a mix of fear and determination as I made my way towards the area that had unsettled me the most during the daylight hours. There, the ground itself seemed to harbor a chill, as if hiding secrets beneath its barren surface. As I walked, the night came alive with a palpable energy, a stark contrast to the stillness that dominated the daytime. Whispers seemed to dance on the wind, ethereal and indistinct, as if the farm itself was communicating in a language born of shadows and secrets. The air grew colder, denser, as if resisting my intrusion into the nocturnal world it guarded so jealously. I reached the heart of the fields, where the scarecrows stood guard over the silent earth. Here, under the cloak of night, they took on a new aspect, not just markers or symbols, but participants in the hidden history of the land. I could almost feel their eyes upon me, watching, judging, as if they were custodians of the truth I sought. It was then that the farm revealed its true nature. The ground beneath my feet seemed to thrum with an unseen force, a vibration that resonated with the very beating of my heart. The whispers grew louder, coalescing into voices that echoed the fears and secrets of a bygone era. Shadows moved in the periphery of my vision, formless and fleeting, as if the spirits of the past were stirring, awakened by my presence. The revelation was not a singular moment, but a gradual unfolding, like the dark petals of a nocturnal flower. The rituals, the scarecrows, the hushed conversations of my parents, all began to weave together into a tapestry of dark truths. The farm was not merely a backdrop to my childhood. It was an active participant in a history shrouded in mystery and fear. As I stood there, surrounded by the whispering fields and watchful scarecrows, the pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place. The nocturnal activities, the strange symbols, the uneasy feeling that pervaded my childhood, all pointed to a reality far removed from the innocence of farm life. The land, with its buried secrets and silent witnesses, held the key to understanding the nightmares that had haunted me. The night's revelations were a turning point, a confrontation with the ghosts of my past that had lingered in the shadows of the farm. It was a journey into the heart of darkness, a search for truth in a place where reality was intertwined with the spectral remnants of forgotten rites and hidden transgressions. The farm, under the cover of night, had peeled back its benign facade to reveal the sinister core beneath, a core that was inextricably linked to the fabric of my own existence. The chilling revelations of the night had left me with a deep, unshakable resolve. As the first light of dawn began to pierce the veil of darkness, I knew what I had to do. The farm, with its silent scarecrows and whispering fields, was no longer just a setting from my past. It was a bearer of truths waiting to be unearthed. The soil beneath my feet, once a playground of my childhood innocence, now felt like a sacred ground, heavy with the weight of untold stories and buried secrets. With each step I took back into the heart of the fields, I felt the presence of the past walking alongside me, a silent companion in my quest for truth. The scarecrows, once menacing figures of my nightmares, now stood as solemn witnesses to the act of revelation that was about to unfold. The land itself seemed to anticipate my actions, the early morning breeze carrying a whisper of encouragement, or perhaps a warning. The spot I had been drawn to the night before, an area where the earth itself seemed to emanate a cold, repulsive energy, became the focus of my attention. Armed with a shovel, I began to dig, each scoop of soil a step further into the unknown depths of my family's legacy. The physical act of digging became a metaphorical excavation of my own repressed memories and fears, each layer of earth revealing more than just the secrets it held. As the sun climbed higher, casting long shadows over the field, my shovel struck something hard. The sound was unmistakable, a chilling reminder of the reality I was about to confront. With trembling hands, I cleared the dirt, revealing the first of what would be many grim artifacts of a hidden past. Bones, human in form, lay scattered and entangled in a macabre display of forgotten lives. The discovery was a physical blow, a confirmation of the darkest fears that had lingered in the back of my mind. These were not just remnants of the past. They were the final, undeniable proof of the horrors that had taken place on this very land. The skeletons, some small and fragile, others larger but equally forlorn, told a story of unspeakable acts, a narrative of pain and suffering that had been buried just like the bodies they once supported. I continued to unearth the grave, the task at hand both a burden and a sacred duty. With each layer of soil removed, the extent of the atrocity became more apparent. This was not the work of a single event, but the result of years, perhaps even generations, of concealed evil. The farm, a place that should have been a haven of growth and life, had instead been a silent tomb, a hidden cemetery of the innocent. The reality of my findings was overwhelming. The land I had once roamed with the carefree joy of childhood was a facade, masking a legacy of darkness and death. The scarecrows, the rituals, the whispered secrets of my parents, all were pieces of a horrifying puzzle that now lay bare before me. As I stood in the field, surrounded by the evidence of my family's hidden past, I felt a profound sense of loss. Not just for the lives that had been so cruelly taken, but for the innocence that had been stolen from me. The farm, with its dark secrets now exposed to the light of day, could no longer hold me in its grip. The discovery of the mass grave was not just an ending, but a beginning. A first step towards healing and moving forward from the shadows of the past. The journey back to the old family farm had brought me full circle. From a child plagued by unexplained fears to an adult faced with the stark reality of those fears. The truths I had uncovered were a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming darkness, the quest for light and truth is always possible. The farm, once a place of nightmares, had become a site of revelation, a sacred ground where the silenced voices of the past could finally be heard and acknowledged.